Hola. I have returned. I have returned from the wilderness. I was really tired yesterday, and I needed to sleep. But I am back, my friends, and we are here to stream. And write, and maybe later for board drop. But favorite fearless hero with your favorite fearless hero. So, let us see what has happened. You know, the thing is, I haven't done much since yesterday because I pretty much slept all day. Very tired, exhausted. I read the new Doctor Strange comic that they're releasing. Oh, what happened, Marvel? What happened? I thought this was gonna be the... I hate that. It's like, this will be the definitive end of Doctor Strange. Yes, we have a movie series going about him, so... It really catapults Marvel's strange tendency to kill characters off right when the movie's coming out. Don't know why you would do that. Theoretically, you should coordinate the two. Big new series should probably come out right when the movie's coming out so that people will want to go buy it. But then again, comics aren't in bookstores anymore, so who the fuck knows? Oh, anyways. Art is fucking great in that series. Holy shit. I don't really know what the plot is, but the art is really good. And I think it's supposed to be a somewhat sparse, mythic plot, carried a lot by the strange, beautiful art. We'll see. But I really want to get into that guy's other stuff now. Oh, I thought that would be a big hit. Come on. Why is that not a big hit? Other than that, I was reading... What was I reading? What was I reading? What was I reading? What else was I reading? Gotham by Gaslight. I was reading Gotham by Gaslight, which is also pretty good. Well, you know, it's an Elseworlds series, which is a very different. Elseworlds is unique. A lot of it is, well, what if... Well, we're gonna start doing some work in a half second. I was just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. No. Well, feel free to talk. We are. We are what we are, but then again. Truly exciting, riveting commentary, I am aware. Okay, let's do this, my friend. Let us do this. have an idea. Oh, come on. There we go. So warm. Nobody's here. Who cares? Wait till the 5 or 6 people that show up frequently come. Even though it's the middle of the week and, oh no, school day. Oh, why is... It's a lot. Megla! The Megalodork! How's it going? Oh, wait. Oh. 1 second. The chat box is off. Oh. We must fix this. The chat box. How is it going? 1 second. Okay, let's see right about here. That thing just never stays in place. Okay. Fantastic. It's going well. The fantastic that is going well. I am thrilled to hear that. What have you got planned for what have you got planned for today? nice and cool right now. Ooh, that's fun. Okay, yeah. I was up for doing this. Ugh, this is annoying. Okay, I signed up to be a sales affiliate for Scrivener, but they never gave me the code. They never gave me my code. I needed like a code, and I needed some codes and stuff for that. They never gave me like a discount code to offer people. That was I found. I found that very, very frustrating. So do so do you hike frequently? That sounds fun. I've shown you my swords, right? I've shown you that I have a few swords. Yeah, blacksmithing is, it is cool, but I think I'd be too scared to do it. That's really cool. You're a friend of yours? Ooh, easy. That's really cool that you have a hiking buddy. Oh. Oh. It's pretty good. It is pretty good. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Or do you like hiking hills or anything near you? I'm indecisive of what I want to listen to right now. Well, that's really amazing. I should do some. I should do something like that. That sounds fun. Sometimes I think to myself, maybe I could be a more like nature-driven person. Like go out into nature and stuff. I leave. Well, that's cool. Yeah, that was one thing I really regretted about not doing in California was not hiking more. When I lived there, I was like, I lived in all this, I'm living in some of the most beautiful land in the world, and I'm just not doing anything. Foolish of me, foolish. How's how are the creative projects going? What are you working on right now? Have you ever encountered like what's like the most like the can I speak today? Why can't I speak today? What's like have you ever encountered like yeah a wild animal? A wild animal like a cougar or something on one of your hikes? Or a wolf? Yeah. What's the story about? Tell me, give me the elevator pitch. Oh, that's cool. God's most perfect animal. Are you getting an ad right now? That's probably it. There we go. I hate when that happens. The ads are supposed to play once every 3 hours, and occasionally they play once every hour, and it's very annoying. So tell me. Okay. That sounds cool. Isn't there a... Love it. It also reminds me of that series about mechs. What is it? So who's your favorite superhero, Megla? Tell me a little bit about the protagonist of your story. Scene heading, that's what I wanted. All things are tough. Ooh, the Martian Manhunter. That's an outside pick. Why the Martian Manhunter? Yeah, that is a rarity. We don't get. I guess there's just something so innately like scary about like shape shifting supervillain. Somebody who can shape shift. That idea. So it's very rare to make that person the hero. He also has a very. I think he also has like just a legitimately cool name. The Martian Manhunter. Okay. John Jones. Wikipedia is. You know what? I'll say this. Wikipedia is full of like kind of neck beards, just a tiny bit, like in a lot of ways. Because you get stuff like this occasionally. A green Martian who survived the fate of Mars and used her womanly wiles and devious mind to manipulate those around her. I always find it funny, like the last man on Earth, the last of the species. There's always like 5 or 6 other last species. That's a fun idea for a character. Oops. That's cool. Tell me more. So basically, his mom dies, and he has. Is there an is there words? Why can't I talk today? Is there an alternative like air or something?
property itself is regarded with the same suspicion that the people of the area regard men who use umbrellas. This is the film Jaws, it is the setting. Alistair, don't go in the sea. Okay. That's it. After half an hour, it's just the shark going, come in the sea! Please, come in the sea! The George is on the beach saying, why do?
Whoa, what was that? What was that? What sound was that? What sound was that? I heard a sound. Wait, wait, when did 2 people follow me? Jeez. Big Mr. The Cat and Big Brooksy, thank you for the follows. Sorry for not responding. That's the next thing I have to fix. I don't know if you noticed, but I did a little bit of a rebrand today. No real reason, just yeah. Well, you know, in truth, in real life, they tended to pick. The lords tended to pick always wanted an easily manipulatable idiot who would just spend his time partying and not bother them over somebody who would actually do something. You know. That feels very realistic to me. Yeah. Thanks for follows, random people who seem to come in here and then immediately lift. But I appreciate the follows. So I did a bit of rebranding today, just because I wanted to. We now have a Vincent Van Gogh theme. Oh, that makes sense. So his mom is supposed to be Laura. There was a pretty fun animated movie. It was an alternative universe where Superman's father was Zod, not Jor-El. I liked that movie a lot. And I just never did anything with that canon again. People are do not know a lot of things. Oh, not you. Sorry. Video I release comment. People are weirdly ignorant about certain things. see. I don't want to be mean. Well, I put out a little video today just talking about where the name Gotham comes from. And if you don't know, Gotham is an old nickname for New York City, and it literally translates into goat home or goat homestead. And it was an insult. It was sort of an insult by an author, Washington Irving. Yeah, and they just said goat home. Anyway, so people are correcting me a lot on the video, going like, Gotham is in New Jersey. I'm like, okay, but that's where the name is much older. The name Gotham City is much older than Batman, and it's been applied to New York. It's a New York based. Comes from it's a nickname for New York. And they're like, and then there's just like this guy. He's got. I won't bring it up because I don't want to. But there's this guy who goes like, that's why there's all those crime families in Gotham, because it's set in New Jersey. And for some reason, the implication is that New York does not have crime families. I guess the outfit for some reason they're like, well, yeah, because yes, New Jersey is literally the only place in America that has mob families. No other city is really famous for its mob families. I've started to use more expensive shampoo randomly, and my hair feels so much better now. It's like, I don't know. People are like, for some reason, people are correcting me, even though I'm right. That Gotham is ancient name for New York City. I don't know. Also, Batman was originally set in New York City. They changed that's a whole thing. They changed it later on to be a fictional city. Just kind of randomly. I mean, it was a good idea, but it's just like, people really like comic book fans. I note get really lost in the weeds on certain things. Which is a little bit annoying at times. Yes, technically Gotham now is officially established as being in New Jersey. I think that's relatively new, even. I think they finally established it as being in New Jersey, but it had kind of floated around for a long time. Let's see. Sweet. Okay, let's see. It's funny that, well, that's good. It's funny that Gotham City, so Gotham City is pretty firmly established in New Jersey, I guess, at this point. It kind of floated for a while. But it's funny that Metropolis, I guess, is established in Delaware. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Metropolis was supposed to be in Delaware, of all places. The most important state, Delaware. Now, Lizard, is there gambling on these things that you do? Can I bet millions of dollars on you to win? What are the regulations like? I'll go to a bookie right now in Vegas. Yeah, you can make millions doing that, Lizard. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised there is. I know Gotham is a nickname for New York. That was what I made a whole little video about where the name Gotham comes from. But I'm getting like a whole bunch of comments that like, well, actually Gotham is in New Jersey. Gotham City is established as being in New Jersey. I know that too, but it's a nickname for New York. Damn it. It's an old... Yes, I know that. Well, because Bill Finger just randomly picked the name. He just opened up a phone book and he saw Gotham City Jewelers. He liked that name and he picked it. Because he was living in New York and he just saw the name Gotham City and he thought it was a good name. How does it hold up? Really? Yeah, it's a weird show in retro. It's a very unique looking show. That's cool. I loved that show as a kid. Oh, really? I did not pick that up. That's funny. Oh, that's funny. No, I'm sure she loved all. Yeah, that's the implication I get. Huh. Like that Marie has blue hair. And that yeah. That's quite funny. Uh yeah. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, yeah, the storyboarder versus artist, storyboarder versus writer thing is always a weird, interesting debate, because sometimes having like real sharp writers on the staff makes it a lot better. Sometimes I think, but sometimes it can make it a lot worse. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, I kind of think it's a mixed bag. Because sometimes I think pure storyboarding can create like really funny cartoons, but sometimes I think pure storyboarding can also. So, I sometimes think animators get a little bit too into themselves as animators and not as storytellers. Where they get really obsessed with like all the animation and don't like pull back and tell sharper things. Is my general thought process. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of really. One thing I hate. Of course, well, I'm mostly a writer too, so I'm biased against Brett. I just, like, I think of stuff like The Simpsons, and Simpsons, which was purely writer driven, was very, very good. Like Simpsons or King of Hill, which was very writer driven, which were very, very good. And animators are obsessed with doing like over the top animation all the time, and that can be great, but it can also lose a sense of stableness or like grittiness in a way, or like it can deground. Because I don't know, that was just popular at the time. I mean, that squiggle vision was a popular idea at the time. Have you ever seen Dr. Katz?
I got some big news.
Okay, make it snappy because I got about 30 seconds here.
We just got a huge delivery. Two box, one huge box.
Okay, you know what this is? This is my. Remember I ordered an electric bike?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, from the catalog.
What does that mean? An electric bike?
It's a bike. The two boxes, one very big box.
There's a big box and then there's a little box.
The little box has a combination battery pack and motor.
Why did you buy this?
I bought it because I'm going to get to work on my electric bike. Always want, even when I was a little boy, I remember seeing pictures of, I think they were French paratroopers, flying through the sky with their parachutes and a little aluminum collapsible bike, which is what.
Yeah. I've seen that. I've heard that. Yeah. I mean, it's a very audio. It's a very audio-driven show. It's a very dialogue-driven show, you know, and the
What's up, man?
you know, the animation is really just there to frame it mostly.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm okay.
Can I get your ear for a minute?
You got it.
Can I tug on your ear?
Be gentle.
You got a second, right? Yep. Listen, I'm wondering if
It is.
tomorrow night I've set aside some special time for the two of us to have maybe a private time. A dinner, perhaps. Maybe a slight celebration.
I don't know. See, you know, every tradesman, I would say, every tradesman in the in filmmaking in some regard, or like artistic field, wants their trade to be the most important part. So, like, writers want writing to be the most important part. Animators want animating to be the most important part. Editors want editing to be the most important part. So, you know, like, an animator will always complain, well, it's just, you know, animators aren't in charge. And a writer will complain, well, the writers aren't in charge. And, like, usually it's better when they collaborate, but that's usually what a showrunner is for. Yeah, exactly. That's usually what a showrunner is for, is because they want it to be which nobody likes. Nobody likes the actor's vehicle. I am acting. I am saying words of preposterous nation and speaking loudly. I am but an actor. But then I go quiet. And then I go loud. And then I go insane. I'm insane. Well, the writer's vehicle is also pretty easy to make fun of, because you can usually tell. A writer's vehicle is this. I am speaking Yes, I am speaking a lot of words, speaking and hearing clearly. I'm using big, long words and big, long monologues and talking. Yes, talking. Yes, talking. That's the story, and we're talking about it, saying it all the words, and we will say, and the narrator comes on and goes, and that's why they said all these certain words the best sort of way that they're speaking. Talking. Speaking. Yes, speaking words. Are you saying words at me? I'm saying words back at you. Words. Yeah. The Shondaverse. Yeah. So you can kind of make fun of both of them. Really? That's awesome. There's another writer like that who wrote like these insanely long scripts for like short things, and you're supposed to say them really quickly. Like Moonlighting, I believe, was like famous for how thick the dialogue is. Hey, did you notice I did a subtle rebrand today, Lizard? All the... Yeah. I've had... I had this... I've had this idea... I kind of wanted to do this thing where I would change the background elements every few weeks, but And I got lazy and didn't do that. So I decided to do that today. It does make me feel very arty. So here's some other stuff. Here's the chatting, the be right back, the chatting, writer sprint, and the starting soon. Ugh. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. I feel like I'm all knots today. Oh yes, yes, I've seen a little bit of that. Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, that's a fun one. With David Harbour. Yeah, and it's all about like pretentious like New York theater people. Yes. Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein. How does it? That's an interesting. Yeah, That's a good argument that Yeah, I find roguelikes. Can I give a controversial opinion about a roguelike? Here's my thought about roguelikes. Roguelikes kind of have to be designed so generically that it would make sense for them all to be connected like that, to be randomized. So they all come off as really generic. It's like after a certain point, you play one level, you've played them all. Really in a roguelike. That's kind of my thought, at least. Now, I'm sure all the roguelike fans will come at me and go, monster. Well, I'm not a game designer. I don't know. Curated. I think a curated experience is important too. Like is an important one too. I don't know. Well, no, not play a movie. Play a perfectly curated experience. Curated experience where the gameplay enhances the story, where storytelling is told through gameplay. See, the problem with a roguelike is that games that you can't. Yeah. You know, it's funny with chess. Yeah. I don't know. Like, the problem with roguelike is that I'm interested in games as a storytelling medium. You know, I feel that you can tell a lot of stories with games. I'm not interested so much in being, like, the best at a video game. Which is why, a little bit, I struggle with, like, say, the Souls-like stuff. Because after a while, I'm just like, I want to get better at this. I'd rather dedicate my time to trying to learn an actual skill. Which is probably a real controversial statement. Yes, otherwise it's not. Like, obviously games are not... Yeah. 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 Well, you know, I do like... Yeah. Yeah. I do like it when games can like create a set of tools that essentially you can form your own story, which is I think incredibly difficult, but is quite fun when they can like it's called like emergent storytelling, I believe. Yeah, emergent narrative. That can be quite fun if they can pull that off. But that's, I think, that's that's more difficult. That's the most difficult version. I think, at least, in my opinion. And that you can allow people to tell their own, allow stories to naturally develop through gameplay mechanics. But, whatever. They can do their cute little roguelikes that all kind of play the same. That's... Oh, great, The Guardian. The Guardian has an opinion about something. I love... We all... You know my whole, like, thought process behind The Guardian. Yeah. Yeah, of course it's the most Guardian thing ever. The Guardian is so pretentious. I don't know. Like, Crusader Kings offers a lot of emergent gameplay possibilities, which I like. But yeah. Is the Guardian like the most obnoxious newspaper? I don't know. But Elden Ring does have a narrative. It does have a narrative. It's a subtler narrative, but it does have... I love that when they go like, "Wow, I'm creating the narrative myself." It's not like there's been a group of designers and writers who all spend a long time creating the exact things that creating all this stuff that so I would experience them. Yeah, that's such bullshit. But Elden Ring has a story. Yeah, Crusader Kings is a better example. It's better. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Guardian is. Yeah. No, I can't. They're very... Like, their media coverage is very, very obnoxious. Their media is notoriously kind of an obnoxious... They've done some good report. They do good reporting work a lot, but their media coverage can be quite. Well, their media coverage is very wrapped up in a very British idea of things. Of we are smug. We are smug geniuses who are looking for like the best burn possible on anything we do. So it's like they always try and achieve like a they always try and be like, oh, cheeky. I started using this more expensive shampoo in my hair. Oh, cheeky. I said the word funny. I'm really cheeky. Well, I'm sure they would say that to us. Listen, the English people spent a good couple of hundreds of years ruining the entire world, destroying, slaughtering thousands upon thousands, destroying entire civilizations, societies, and once they decided that they were too good for once they decided they were bored with that, they carelessly threw all the broken pieces away and go like, oh, why are all these people struggling? Surely nothing we did. But it means that they have a real sense of themselves as the greatest society on the face of the earth. Like, didn't they find out like at least once a week a country celebrates its freedom from England? And once they decided that they were too good for all that, they just carelessly threw all that stuff away, not realizing how much they damaged everybody. And then the British have sort of the gall to think that the rest of the world is as enamored with them as they are. And that they have like and that they are a so. And then here's my favorite thing. Yeah, I saw that. I just haven't had time to look it over yet. I'll give it a look later today. Here's my favorite thing about the British. And then they have this arrogance to themselves that they have like the fact that Brexit happened and they were like, well, everybody's just going to want to deal with us, the British, because we're the best in the world. And it didn't occur to them that, like, no, that's not what's going to happen. Like, that they were inherently special. It's funny because England was one of the creators of the EU, so they were in charge of. They had so many special exemptions, but they were like, no. We will be better. Everybody will want to deal with us, England, which has no major national resources, has an ailing tech center, and yes, is the center of finance in a lot of ways. Was at one point the center of European finance, but that's because they were in the EU, and they were the point person for a lot of EU stuff. And now that they're no longer in the EU, there's not a lot of reason to work with them anymore. Like, I would note Ireland, who's still in the EU, is sitting happy. Suddenly they're, like, especially the US now treats Ireland as its big point person in dealing with the European Union. I know that's happened. Because the Americans always liked, America always liked the Irish. Everybody likes the Irish. Yeah, everybody likes the Irish. Especially Americans. Americans love the Irish because a lot of Americans have Irish ancestry. There's a lot of people who have Irish ancestry in the U.S. And, there's debates about, how much can American Irish claim Irishness. I don't know. I think any member of a diaspora has rights to claim at least part of that identity. I find it, one of the things I find really obnoxious about, like, Europeans is, like, is that they're very smug about diaspora people. Like, apparently the Turkish are, like don't consider Turkish people outside of Turkey to be real Turkish, which I think is very hypocritical of a former nomadic group, of a group of nomads, of an ex-group of nomads. I think that's very hypocritical of them. And the fact that there are tons of Turkish nations and people, yeah. I think that's very hypocritical, honestly, of a group of people who trace their heritage to China, Yeah. You're always a little bit of something. I mean, you go to, like, Louisiana or something, and, a lot of people in Louisiana still have a lot of French attitudes about themselves. And the fact that there is a version of French still spoken in Louisiana, culture is weird. And people have, I've never been a big believer that culture is dedicated, culture. Here's my philosophy. Culture doesn't stop at borders. Borders are man-made things. Borders just represent the furthest reach of a government's power. They don't represent how the people actually live. So I think it's a little ridiculous. Can you still see me? There's an ad playing right now. These ads are playing much more frequently than they should. I have this set for like 3 hours. They're playing like once every hour. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know. But I feel members of the diaspora have some rights to claim their ancestral land, claim part of their ancestral territory, ancestral heritage. Destiny. Has that ever been seen as good at I knew some people who were very into Destiny. I never got the hype. Has that shit ever... Fear is your biggest failure. Has Destiny ever been thought of as having like good writing? Like, ever? Intare. Do I need to take my pill?
No, remember you didn't take it till last day.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. We're whispering. Yes, we're whispering. Yes, it is. It is. There's nobody else here in the room. Oh, yes, I 100% agree. Anger leads. Hate leads to suffering. Emotions lead to... Emotions lead to other emotions. And then you have more emotions. Okay. They do. I'm going to throw out an idea here. I really hate sci-fi and fantasy stories that are all about emotions are good. People should have emotions. Or, I don't know. It feels like it's arguing for like the single most basic thing in the world. Like, I feel happy and sometimes I feel sad. It's like, I don't know. That feels like such a non-plot to me. See, Lizard, it's all... If they were to... Here's the thing. If they were to express any... I'll tell you why, Lizard. Because if they were to express any real, like... The problem is, the second you express any real, like, problems and considerations, suddenly people get mad at you. So if you can keep it so vague and just argue for a very basic human, universal human thing that everybody kind of does, that's okay. But the argument that, you know, once you get into, like, sort of specifics, then everybody's like, well, why did this get political all of a sudden? Yeah. That's why they do. That's why they do stuff. Paul, suddenly it's like, I think it's good that. Listen, a dramatic, well-written, like a story about people who are like, I think breathing air is cool and good for people. I'm the evil villain who doesn't think breathing air is good. I think most people, politically, whether you're on the right or the left, will conclude that oxygen is good and everybody should be able to breathe it. But it's a nothing. It's nothing. It means nothing. I mean, the fact, like, Destiny could just have it that, like, the villains are, like, fascistic empire builders. Entirely. Thank you. Yes. No. Oh. Yeah. But that's like, but that's like 5-year-old. That's writing for 5-year-olds, Lizard. It's like, there's the light and then there's the dark, and the light is good and the dark is bad. The light. But you say it like in the voice of Bill Nighy or something. Yeah. Oh, I think that stuff is kind of hack. I don't know. Listen, if you give it a lot of character, if you make the characters compelling enough, you can kind of hide that. This is the basic good versus evil. You can hide the basic. I mean, that's why I like Game of Thrones. Yeah, because it was. I'm sure fantasy fans will get very upset that I don't mention like random fantasy book 146 that also was sort of doing what George Martin was doing, but. The fact that there's no clear... I mean, there was a clear hero in Game of Thrones. The Starks were the clear heroes. Ultimately, the Starks were like the ones that you wanted to win. But they had to go through like a lot of hard, terrible things. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I would point out in Game of Thrones or Song of Fire and Ice or the World of Westeros or whatever you want to call it, we don't really know how either of them would really run the kingdom. Like, what's their actual ideals? See, the problem is once you start bringing out what the actual like ideals and like political structures of stuff are, then suddenly it gets too serious. Like, I had a theory once that if George R. R. Martin ever if they ever do a real sequel to like Game of Thrones, like my pick is that they should. So so far every Game of Thrones like Westeros series has been based on roughly on a period of English history, like a real period of English history. So Game of Thrones is very famously based on the War of the Roses, whereas House of the Dragon is based on a period called the Anarchy. So I had an idea. My pitch was essentially, I think they should base, if he ever does a later in series 1, that they should do it based around the English Civil War. Because the English Civil War is, in my mind, a more interesting conflict than a simple succession crisis, because it really represents a crisis in political philosophy, in that it's not necessarily about one king versus another. It's about whether England would become a representational republic in a lot of ways. So I always thought that would be a good, but you know, who knows with politics today? Maybe that, even me arguing that having a idea that it would be interesting to explore a fantasy world becoming a democracy, it would be. But apparently some people don't, apparently that idea is too controversial. I actually haven't seen The Boys, so. But you know what really is Game of Thrones meets superheroes? Our friend Megalodork's series that they're writing. I just haven't seen it. Well, I mean, the comic, yeah. Watchmen, of course. I mean, that comic changed my life. Watchmen. I'm obsessed with that. I have, the series was good, but I have an issue in that Alan Moore was so screwed over by like Warner Brothers and DC that I can never really like appreciate Watchmen on a level, any adaptation that doesn't have his approval, because it's like, no matter what, Alan Moore was screwed over. Watchmen was meant to be Alan Moore's. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I'm sorry. I didn't watch it. I don't know. I have this whole thing. People get into things. Well, Alan Moore. I didn't watch it. I rewatched American Dad instead. Oh, no. I will never read Doomsday Clock. But that's what I'm saying. I will never read or watch anything that DC produces with Watchmen that is not that Alan Moore doesn't do. And I fucking despise. I despise the writer of that. Literally, my least favorite writer of all time wrote that. So, fucking Jeff Johns. The overgrown parasite that is trying to suck out all of Alan Moore's creativity to be dilapidated into his like shitty, evil into his awful little hands. The fact that Jeff fucking Johns of all people was like is like such a praised figure in DC. Ugh. Truly a shitty writer. One of the shittiest writers. And the fact that he got so far in power structure just annoys me. I hate him. Well, they like shitty comics. Jeff Johns, I don't know. I can't. I've never been able to stand Jeff Johns. I've never been able to stand his I've never been able to stand his garbage takes. I've never been able to I've never been able to stand him. It's the fact that Jeff Johns whines endlessly about, comics aren't as good as when I was a kid. They aren't as good as when I was a kid during the Silver Age when I was a kid. But then his comics are full of like fucking awful like violence, like over the top violence and sex that is just like is nonstop. But he then complains about how dark other comics. Well, what drives me crazy about Jeff Johns is he's like the most violent sexual like writer I've seen in Disney, not DC. Yeah, so he's like this huge fucking hypocrite. Like I would argue that his comics are the most endemic of the Dark Age. He loves, and what he really loves doing is like pulling off these huge dark twists. He likes making things way more darker than they are. What Jeff Johns fundamentally wants is comics to be exactly like when he was a kid, but with a lot of sex and violence. And I'm fine with sex and violence, but he's a creepy shithead who writes shitty comics where characters will just murder and kill each other, and then he'll whine endlessly about how comics got too dark all of a sudden. Too dark. I just can't stand him. I can't stand him, and his ideas are stupid, and he has this whole... And he's also obnoxiously literal. I'm so glad that his stupid idea of the 3 Jokers was laughed out of, and they had to just make it an Elseworld series. It's like, oh, why does the Joker act differently sometimes? Really? Was it that bad? I figured it was bad. The fact that... I'm a comic book fan. I'm going to throw this out there. The fact that comic book fans are so fucking, like, just... I recognize thing! I like thing that I recognize! Over and over again it will forever be the death of this particular medium. They don't like... They just want to, comic books are about reward, there are a lot of comic books out there that are about just rewarding the faithful, At times it feels like reading like a, didn't need that. I hate him so much. I hate it. I hate his stupid fucking comics. To like such an I'm glad he's sort of been laughed out of like comic book writing, because it's just the fact that he co-wrote 52, which is a great comic series. I'm a bit of a... is great. I resent it. Well, see, a little bit why I resent stuff like that is I feel like I'm expected to just like something because they reference other things I like. It's like they don't like to me they can consider me like such a simple idiot who will just like you put in a character I like. You put in a character I like or reference a story I was into, and that should just be good enough. Like, you don't have to tell a good story. Like, the story you tell doesn't have to be good. As long as you can just say lists of television shows I enjoy, or lists of comic books I enjoy, or lists of movies I enjoy, that's enough. That's enough, right? Just essentially reading a Wikipedia page of stuff I enjoy, that should be more than enough to make a good movie. It's not that I have standards. It's not that the reason I liked any of this stuff is because I thought they were good stories or compelling characters or sympathetic, compelling characters or interesting medium experiments. No. The reason I like stuff is because it vaguely reminds me of other stuff that I liked. It vaguely reminds me of when I was a kid and like the weight of the world didn't feel crushing down on me. That's what I like, apparently. I have no standards. Apparently I have no standards is what these people assume. I'd like to see a comic book like about somebody who just like doesn't uber care about superheroes or something. I don't know. She's fun. She's a wild and crazy. She's a wild and crazy clown girl. That's, of course, a fun character people like. I would be the first to. Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say Jinx. Jinx is very much a Harley Quinn clone. Oh, Punch. Oh, right. I forgot. There's another Harley Quinn clone running around now. Ugh, I don't really keep up with modern DC comics. Oh, she got her own series. Good for her. Yeah, Harley Quinn was a popular character. She's like the Joker. Harley Quinn's like the Joker, but I, as a straight dude, can have sex with her. That's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, bad, Sean. Even though, that's a little bit what I think. So it doesn't feel weird that I have sexual attraction to her. Not necessarily. I mean, they've told some interesting stories, like the fact that Harley Quinn is now, like, they kind of, finagled a, kind of a compelling, abuse survivor narrative out of Harley Quinn is kind of interesting, Being especially as comics have trouble addressing stuff like that. A lot of them are. A lot of them are also... You know, which is, like, some people now criticize Batman comics for that a little bit, which, I don't know. No. I used to like both quite a lot, but I feel DC had a huge, sharp drop-off, whereas Marvel had several smaller drop-offs. I'll throw it out there. The New 52 is when I really grew very apathetic to DC Comics. I'm slowly inching back into reading more DC stuff. In fact, I was reading a DC comic last night, even, that I'm not finished with it yet, and I will eventually release a review of it at some point when I do. I don't know why the Civil War fucking sucked. It was a shitty... No, I feel like a lot of Marvel fans really hate the Civil War. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe the Marvel fans I'm on line with. The Civil War was such a shitty idea. But I hate the Civil War. See, the problem is, like, this is also, like, the other side of the thing of, like, politics and superheroes. So, I'm gonna throw this out. Superheroes are a nonsense idea. Like, on a level, they're a pure nonsense idea. Trying to apply any real-world logic to the idea of a superhero fails quite quickly. So, you know, the way I justify it to myself is like, this is a fantasy world in a lot of ways. Yes, it has real cities and real people occasionally show up, but this is still just a fantasy world where this sort of stuff kind of makes sense, and then we move on. But anytime they try and, like... Because, one, superheroes will never be a real thing in real life. Yeah. Exactly. Like, they will never be a real thing in real life. And that's fine. In my opinion, at least. Like, or I don't know. I don't know what I would actually think if real life superheroes started to pop up. I would be very concerned that there was a group of uber powerful people that seemingly had no laws, like binding them to anything. Because in real life, here's the thing. In real life, I'm going to be real controversial here. Superhero registration makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. Like, no. This would actually need to be registered, and we would need to know what these people are doing, and they would need to be held accountable for law, and there would probably be, like, several organizations dedicated to bringing down, like, making sure that superheroes behave in like, legal context, you know? But it's a House of Cards sort of thing. Yeah. It's a House of Cards sort of thing in that, like, you should... I would say, like, superheroes make sense as long as you don't really poke that, like... As long as you don't, like... you know... Superheroes as a genre are a beautifully constructed House of Cards. And that... They hold up quite well... as long as you don't remove any cards. And questioning, like... And one of the big ones is, like, but how would this work in real life concept? Like, but wouldn't it make more sense legally if... Away! Writer, away! You will keep the House of Cards as is! Removing any of these will cause the entire thing to collapse! I like She-Hulk. I didn't see the show, which is bad, but I like She-Hulk the character. I'm just saying, like, don't no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, don't, like, just here's the thing. If you're writing a superhero, here's my big advice for any aspiring superhero writers. If you're writing a story with some superheroes in it, superheroes are just a thing. They're just a thing. They exist and they're just a thing. Don't question why they're a thing. Just people accept them as a thing and they're just there. Like, they're just an accepted part of the world at this moment. People are used... Don't go like... That's all you need to acknowledge. Don't be like... Because if we want to get, like, you know, like... There's such an easy, like, fascist interpretation of superheroes that I would say never indulge in. Never really think about that further, because it can get pretty bad pretty quickly. But if we were to really do this, if we really to, like, say, okay, how would a realistic superhero world work? Registration would be 100% a thing people would need to do. Like, I'm sorry to be, like, you know, anti-freedom or whatever, but yeah, no. Like, superheroes, like, there would need to be, like, a tribunal or, like, legal precedents for superheroes and stuff, and we would need to have, like, a whole, like, system set up to, like, monitor them and make sure that they don't, like, do crazy things, like blow up a hospital or something just because they can. But I also think, personally, that would be really, really, really boring to explore. Because when people read a superhero story, you know what they don't want to read? You know what they don't want? A lot of scenes of guys in suits talking. What they want to see is colorful people with amazing powers fight other colorful people with amazing powers. That's what they... That's the fun. That's the fun. And I don't... And I think scene after scene of, like, going like, well, we have to set up a legal... would be quite boring for people. It would be essentially what the prequels did, Star Wars prequels did, which is just talk endlessly about, you know, like trade federations and stuff, and it's like, and trade embargoes, and it's like, I think and, you know, I say that now, and then, you know, I'm probably, you know, if I ever write a superhero thing, I know 100% I will, like, try and look into that as an idea of, like, what the actual legal framework of superheroes would be. Because I know my mind, and I'm like, well, okay, like, so logically, how would this actually work? Because, like, whenever I do world building, it's always about, like, how do framework, like, government, like, I always think in frameworks and stuff like that, of, like, well, you know, like, what would the actual repercussions be, and what would be the political issues of the day surrounding that? Like, one idea I had is, like, superheroics become sort of a real popular, like, industry in a way, like, in the equivalent of, like, so there's, like, a lot of support industries, so now it's, like, this multi-million-dollar industry of, like, a billion-dollar industry. I had this idea once of a superhero. Yeah. And you know what? That shit may... Yeah, so it may just be a pure execution. And, you know, I say that I think it may be boring. But then again, who knows? Maybe I could, you know, it's clearly something I've thought about before. Like, you know, I have thought about all this stuff before of, like, how this would actually... How in a more how in a real way this would work. The Civil War is dumb because it's just childish, in my opinion. Yeah. Exactly. It's a huge uphill battle to make this work, and it would require And I mean, part of the problem is I would say it would require like Marvel or DC, if they really wanted to do something like that, to have a level of coordination that they don't often have. Because usually, but if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to like really like go intensely into that whole idea, I would just not bother with it. I would just not bother with it because any half measure is just not worth it. Any half measure is just not worth it. And you can tell perfectly fine stories without bothering with that. Yeah. Exactly. And I feel like the registration idea, like I feel like the Civil War idea is an idea that didn't work because of that. Also, because the problem was also that they made one side comically the most evil side in the world. Like the pro-registration side just started doing like super evil things all the time. That it was pretty impossible. Like, even though like that the pro-registration side in the real world context would be right, that like people they need like superheroes need to be approved by the U.S. Need to be in some way under like legal requirements. They just suck. They suck so much. There's no actual like thing, So if they want to, if Marvel or DC wanted to do something like, but the problem is, one, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Marvel or DC ever could pull something like that off. Like, I think a single author, say, working on superhero stuff, could probably keep that all consistent enough in their head to do it right. But I think Marvel and DC, like, building a whole... It would just be impossible. I think they have way too many writers doing too many separate things all at once. We would need... I don't know. I'm always surprised, like, that, like, if I was ever in charge of Marvel and hoping one day, God willing, all my plans go right. God willing, my plans go right, and I eventually ascend to that position. Yeah. I've always been curious why, like, Marvel and DC don't have, like, essentially more of a coordinated, like, more coordinated stories throughout the storylines, do more coordinate. Like, to me, like, what they should do, like, with these big, like, storylines is, like, they should prepare them, like, a year or two in advance. Prepare them, like, a year or two in advance, and then go, like, okay, so, like, this is going to be the big kind of arc we're going to work on throughout the Marvel, and here are the clear plans and precise things that we're all going to be doing. That Marvel as a whole wide branch launch will, like, be slowly working towards. And we've made decisions about which character will be important and which will do that, and then we assign that. And it's like, I don't know why there isn't more coordination on these big events sort of thing. Because it just I don't know. But then again, it's important to have, like, the problem is also it's important to have the individual authors be allowed a good deal of freedom, because that's usually where the better comics come from. I think, truthfully, I think these big events are always very poorly run. I think a lot of problems for both comics come from these, like, big company-wide crossover events that kind of screw everything up. Yeah. Someday I'll be in charge. I'll be in charge of that company. Then I'll have my revenge. Listen, it took most CEOs are like 50 years old when they get in charge of that. So I still have about 20 years to get up there. And I didn't fake being a Japanese person for a decade. Yes. Go get some sleep. Go get some sleep, JJ. Have a good night. I should. I should focus on getting actual writing done on this writing stream. It's a little cold in here. It's a little cold in here. I'm gonna turn the heat up. 1 second. And then we're gonna get some. We're gonna work on some stuff. Darn it! We're gonna work on some stuff. Be back in a sec. I have to go to the restroom. It's a tiny bit cold, so I put on a coat. Okay, folks. What up? No, that's me being. Okay, let's do. I would say. Let us do. Let me just check one little thing. We're gonna do a writing sprint in a sec. It'll be the greatest writing sprint you've ever experienced. Okay. Okay. How about we do a ratings? How about we do a ratings with everybody? Go to bed, lizard! Go to bed! Okay. Nobody's here. Nobody's here. Why am I doing the countdown bit? Okay. Ooh. How did we do? Good, I hope. Got it. We shall go for 4 hours. Although, I don't think I have the energy to go super long today. In fact, I don't think I think that's where my energy ends. How about we call it for here today? Do more. No, you know, no. I want to do more today. You know what? I'll be back. I'm going to take a break. Hey, everybody. I think we're going to call it here. Talk to you later. Bye.